Ordinarily, I hate teen-based horror films because they're cliche, they're exceptionally predictable, the characters are usually underdeveloped, the situations are very boring. This is not the case with Sorority Row. This is a 2009 film. I don't like the title, I will say that. I think the title itself is very dull. But actually, this goes against everything that I've just said, because these teen-based characters are actually a little bit more well-developed than the average film like this. The scenarios are a little bit more unique. It's not the most predictable, and I think it's a little bit more intense, and perhaps a little bit more graphic as well. So I really was pleasantly surprised. It was released in 2009, directed by Stuart Hendler, written by Pete Goldfinger and Josh Stolberg, and stars Briana Evigan, Rumer Willis, and to a certain extent Carrie Fisher. And obviously there's a point here where somebody is going to say, well, I only like it because Carrie Fisher is in it. I am madly in love with Carrie Fisher. But the first time I watched this was pre-Star Wars, by which I mean before I saw Star Wars, which was my introduction to Carrie Fisher. So I kind of fell in love with this the first time before I'd even really heard of Carrie Fisher. So that's just an added bonus after the fact. Also, she's not exactly in it that much. But this was, as I said, released in 2009. I didn't see it in 2009. It would have been, I guess, a little bit after that. And this is about a group of sorority girls who commit this prank. And usually, again, I don't like films about pranks because I find them tedious and boring and cringy. But again, this one is actually pretty interesting. This prank goes wrong and they have to try and cover up the death of one of their sorority sisters. And things start to go quite wrong for them, not just with being found out or that constant threat of knowing that at any moment somebody could find out what they did, but also they start to find that their own existences might be in a bit of danger when they become victims of stalking. So it's quite intense. Obviously what I'm describing there doesn't sound that unique. There are many films like that. But I do like the fact that it started off with this prank gone wrong. Immediately you could tell that this just wasn't going to end well, and that this prank was a terrible idea, and that every prank is a terrible idea. Maybe that last one is just my opinion, but I can't stand them. But I think it was really well executed, very well acted. The characters are more interesting than average. And I just find that it's just got that little bit of something that most films like this just seem to be lacking. So if you like horror films of any nature, I'd say definitely give it a go. It's very atmospheric. It's quite dark a lot of the time. It's using a lot of really kind of dark colours. It's not very well lit. Usually I like a little bit of bright lighting in a horror film to give us a bit of calm before the next storm. This doesn't really utilise that, but it's not really a problem. It didn't really detract from the enjoyment. The narrative develops really well. I like the fact that it starts off pretty much where it needs to. There's no fluff and padding. And usually a lot of similar films will spend a lot of time setting up and introducing us to the characters, and when those characters are ridiculously boring and dull, it makes it really tedious. But not only are these characters more interesting, but it doesn't waste time giving us pointless setting up information. It just gets to the point, and I really, really appreciate that. It's about an hour and 40 minutes, a really good length, quite dramatic, great acting. A lot better than I ever expected, and I definitely recommend it.